exploring Iran, a place known for its incredible history, its really stunning beauty.
Absolutely.
But there's often more beneath the surface, isn't there? Stories maybe not everyone sees.
That's right.
So we're going to look into what we're calling the top 5 darkest secrets, things that are hidden or maybe just not widely talked about. Ready to jump in?
Definitely. It's about understanding the whole complexity of Iran. We've dug into various sources, and they point to some, well, pretty surprising and sometimes unsettling details.
Okay.
We want to lay these out so you get that fuller perspective. Let's start with the first one.
Right. When you talk about Iran, especially difficult subjects, one name comes up often: Evin prison. It's known as Iran's House of Horror.
Yeah, that name. It definitely sticks.
What do the sources tell us about why, particularly concerning political prisoners?
Well, the reports are pretty consistent, unfortunately. There are persistent allegations of torture, forced confessions, even people just disappearing within those walls.
Wow.
And what that really points to, beyond the awful individual cases, is a system that seems to rely on fear, on control, outside the usual legal processes.
It makes you wonder about the stability built on that kind of foundation, right?
Exactly. What does that mean long-term for the country and its people?
Okay, moving from that very physical form of control, let's talk about something else that's kept the world watching Iran, its nuclear ambitions.
Ah, yes. A long and complex story.
We heard public statements, assurances the program stopped. But then something major was found back in 2002.
That's right. The discovery of those secret underground nuclear facilities. That just completely changed the international view.
How so?
Well, it fueled this ongoing suspicion, which sources strongly suggest persists today, that maybe the program never really stopped. Maybe it just, went deeper underground out of sight.
And the implication of that?
Think about trust. If there's a pattern of hiding something so significant, it really damages trust on the world stage. Every future statement, every diplomatic move gets viewed through that lens, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if controlling physical sites and nuclear secrets isn't enough, let's look at secret number 3. This one's about the digital world. It's pretty well known that big sites like Google, YouTube, Facebook, they're blocked in Iran.
Right, that's the visible part. But the sources we looked at suggest the control goes much deeper. It's not just about blocking access.
What else?
It's about extensive surveillance of what people do post online. There's a real risk of arrest for sharing things the government doesn't like. Someone in the sources called it a digital prison.
A digital prison. That's a powerful image.
It is. Imagine every click, every post potentially monitored.
Yeah.
It fundamentally shapes what people feel safe saying and maybe even what gets remembered historically.
Okay, let's shift again. Secret number 2 involves what some call Iran's shadow army, the Quds Force. They mainly operate outside Iran.
Yes, the Quds Force.
Yeah.
Their influence is significant, but often indirect, or at least not publicly acknowledged by them.
What kind of activities are we talking about based on the sources?
Sources report them actively supporting militias in other countries, planning covert operations, funding various groups. The U.S. even designates them as a terrorist organization.
So they're influential but work in the shadows.
Exactly. As one source put it, they don't wear name tags, but they leave a big mark. It really highlights how much impact these kinds of covert forces can have, blurring lines between states.
Which brings us to our final and perhaps most disturbing potential secret. Number 1 takes us back to the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s.
This one is. Yeah, it's heavy.
There are these persistent stories, these claims.
Yep.
Did Iran test chemical weapons on its own captured soldiers back then?
Okay, first, it's really crucial to state. There is no official concrete proof of this. That's clear in the sources, too.
Right. No official confirmation.
But the sources do note that these stories persist. Former insiders apparently still talk about it. These claims circulate, even without hard evidence.
So it remains unconfirmed, but the story itself lingers.
And that's unsettling in its own right. It shows how powerful unverified narratives can become, how they can shape perceptions and memory, even without official proof. If it were true, well, the gravity is immense.
So wrapping this up, we've journeyed through some quite dark corners today. Iran clearly has so many different faces: ancient beauty, rich culture, but also these hidden, unsettling aspects.
Definitely.
Understanding these layers, I think, gives us a much fuller, more, honest picture of such a complex nation.
It does. And maybe the final thought for you listening is, what do these kind of secrets, whether fully proven or persistently rumored, tell us about how power works, about control? How do these deeply buried things shape a country's real story, even when they're kept out of the public eye? It makes you wonder what else remains hidden, not just in Iran, but anywhere.
Yeah.
What might you want to look into further now?